the link for a promotion going on right now to try the room for 30 days. So you can check that out. So you can come and join the room, see how it works, see if our process, our routine, everything is conducive to your trading as well. And we'd be happy to have you. Okay, so let's get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for July 21st, 2020. Q's down 1% here. SPY up 0.18, showing a little bit more bullishness in the Qs today throughout the day, but doesn't really change too much going into tomorrow for either cases. We did get a sell-off here in the afternoon, but still going to be bullish on the Qs and SPY going into tomorrow. I got this question in the morning as we were kind of coming in, as we were expecting a pullback. All right, looking for around 260, 260. We got pretty close there as support, okay? What would have to happen in order for this bullish bias to change is we would have to try to bounce off of that support, and then as we negate that bounce, then I would be neutral. As we make our way back to the lows, then we'd actually be looking bearish. Okay, so we're not there yet. I mean, things could happen pretty quickly, but so far, you know, what we got today, even though we did get some selling here, Qs are down, SPY kind of gave up the gains here. Still going to be bullish on the Qs and SPY going into tomorrow. The daily time frame is still in an uptrend on both, okay, and even the hourly has yet to lose the uptrend, you know, that it's put in. We just put in a higher high there, trying to put in a higher low at the moment. Okay, so still bullish going into tomorrow. All right, we'll see what we get. All right, now I think today, in order to do well, was all about being able to analyze the gaps, because I did think the best plays were right at the open here. So we'll take a look at the few that I thought were pretty good. I don't remember the complete size of the gaps list. Probably, actually, let me look at it right here. Yeah, we had 58 things on the initial gaps list, and these were the top three, 2 shorts and 1 long. So we'll talk about kind of how we got to these. OMI was the #1 out of all 3. Okay, and then we found some other gaps later into the day, but let's go over these first. Okay, so what are we looking for when we're looking at something in the pre-market? Okay, we want it to be clearing resistance if it's a gap up. Okay, we want it to be starting a new move on the daily chart. We want it to be starting a new move on the weekly chart. Okay, so you can see so far we're good on all of these as far as OMI goes. It's doing a breakout on the weekly. You see this year it's been just basing sideways on the weekly here, starting a breakout. Daily, right, was also doing a base breakout for the last couple months and then gapping above. All right, clearing the resistance there. All right, and then gaps not too big. It's a little bit above where it needed to gap to, but not too excessive. It's not more than twice normal day's range there. Only need to gap to about 970. And then we know that this isn't caused by the market, because the market was a much smaller gap up, even almost kind of neutral or barely a gap up on the Qs. Let's see, the Qs gap up was 0.6%. So you know, this OMI on the other hand was a gap up that was much bigger. Let's see what the percentage here is on this OMI. So we know that it's gapping 29% on the OMI. So we know that the OMI gapping up because of its own news, this kind of guided for the year. Okay, so this is a tier 1 gap. That means it meets all 5 criteria that we just went over. It's pretty good. Okay, favorite gap, and this one you really had to be ready for it right at the open. I think after the first 10 minutes or so is when it opened, and then it took off. Okay, now the next 2 were gap downs. Okay, ACAD and the CTSO. So while these were the best of what was gapping down, they weren't perfect. Okay, so let's talk about what is not quite right about these, but also what kind of makes them the favorite as far as the gap downs go. Okay, they're very, very similar as far as the quality of the gap. Now, if we're talking about starting a new move here on the daily, it is, right? Because we were moving up, and then this gap down, is in the opposite direction of where it was going. It's starting a new move there. Weekly had been moving up. We're starting a move down here. So this is against whatever trend we had in place here on the weekly and on the daily. Same goes for the CTSO. You can see we were moving up. Now we're gapping down. That's against the daily trend there. And the weekly had been moving up against that trend now. The big issue with both of these was that they were into support. So here you can see lots of overlap to the left, lots of support there. ACAD as well, lots of support there. Even though you think, okay, well, there's some pivots here. If we get out of the way of that, there's even more there to the left. Okay, but these were still kind of the best of what we had as far as gap downs go. So I think there were kind of some opportunities there on the ACAD and the CTSO. Okay, yeah, I mean, in the morning there were a couple breakdowns. There's a sell setup probably in there. You can see it on the 5. Yeah, a little bit of a retracement there before rolling over on the ACAD. I know the CTSO also, yeah, I had an okay breakdown here. You can see eventually that actually got negated, but there's also a sell setup right here. So there definitely were some opportunities on the CTSO. I don't even remember actually seeing this. The focus for me, because it was the OMI, that was the number 1. And it was a little bit tricky. You really had to be focused on this one because it took quite a while to open. You can see here where there's no volume here. That's how I knew it wasn't open. So it's kind of like waiting, checking back, checking back, sort of in disbelief that this still wasn't open. And then finally, once it popped, had to kind of jump in and size it just to where I got filled, where I was thinking I would get filled, because it was supposed to be over at 55 or over 53. Yeah, and I got filled 57. Stop is going to be under low of the day. So it was all about kind of really being focused. I did have one play here in the afternoon, which didn't end up going anywhere. And as the market came in, I said, all right, we're just going to have to bail on this. And that was the CRK, which we didn't have in the morning. It wasn't part of the gaps list. We played this as it was kind of breaking out here on the 15. And then it started to roll back over. I said, go ahead and kill it under 10, kind of as it came back in. So I did lose a little bit on this CRK. And I thought just in general, the afternoons are not really giving that much opportunity. So that's why I think it's so important that you know what to look for. Now, you know, this kind of stuff, whatever kind of course you take through T3 that's either taught by Sammy or me, will go teach you how to do the gaps. But even if you're just in the room, we start 30 minutes before the open, and we go through each one and tell you and run the same analysis one by one on these, right? So even if you're still getting kind of used to it, or even if you've taken the courses, you know what the criteria is, and you know, then you can see it in practice and see it applied one by one, you know, as we go through them, and we know what the favorites are, right? Right? Like yesterday, I said, okay, Tiger is probably good for the open, right? That was the one yesterday morning. As soon as it set up that breakout, right, we played it, right? So it was the breakout on the intraday, okay? And the only way that you're going to get stuff like this, especially when there's so many things to watch, the market's moving, you know, the only way that you're going to catch stuff like this, right, this early is if you're ready for them, right? If they're already part of your favorites. I don't know what the number is. You can maybe watch like 4 or 5 things in the first like 5 minutes, and then actually expect to like get in them when they're ready to go. So it really comes down to narrowing that down. I think that was crucial to today. I think the people who did well today, you knew what you were looking for at the open, and it's set up. Now it's possible that you had some favorites they didn't set up. You know, I think that definitely came about today. I had quite a few calls that didn't trigger. CRK is the only one that did. I had 3 other calls throughout the day that never triggered. One was this GNPX, which we found later. I wanted to see this do a 5-minute base breakout here over this, and that was where the call was, you know, to play over here. But it never broke out, so it ended up coming in instead, so there was no play. But that's what I was looking for on that. So, you know, it's possible that, you know, your favorites didn't set up, but I thought overwhelmingly OMI had to be the favorite. Okay, that was based on how we rank and rate gaps. Okay, all right. So I hope you did well today. If not, we'll be back at it tomorrow. I think earnings season is still just in the early stages, so hopefully, you know, you're working your way through maybe some growing pains or fixing the routine or some kind of things like that, because especially by next week, you know, really everything has to be kind of smooth and firing on all cylinders if you're going to take advantage. Okay, yeah. So because usually if you're like a little couple weeks behind after earning season gets started, you're going to already kind of be behind. Okay. All right. So we'll be back at it tomorrow. I'll talk to you then. Have a good evening.